Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to this Licensing and Gambling Subcommittee being held on the 29th of June 2026. My name is Councillor Shane Williams and I'll be chairing today's meeting. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded and will be made available to view via the Council's website, except for discussions involving confidential or exempt items. The live streaming will be made available to anyone to view via the Council's website. I will now carry out a roll call for attendance. Please can you announce yourself as present when I call out your name. Councillor Mike Adams.
Present, Chair.
Councillor Teresa Heron.
Present, Chair.
Lee Morgan, Licensing Manager.
Yeah, present, Chair. Good morning.
David Rees, Licensing Officer.
Present, Chair.
Todd Rawson, Solicitor.
Present, Chair.
Thank you. And we have Mr. Kanisan Aikalan, who's the applicant. Is that right?
Yeah, on behalf, Nirosh.
Yeah, well, we've also got a Mr. Suresh Kanapathy.
Yes, thank you, Chair.
Okay. Thank you. We've also have a list of responsible authorities. From Gwent Police, we have PC Adrian Jones.
Yes, present. Good morning, Chair.
From Environmental Health, we have Victoria Woodland.
Present, Chair. Good morning.
The Licensing Authority, Sandra Lewis-Williams.
Good morning, Present, Chair.
And from Trading Standards, we have Rian Cross.
Present, Chair.
Thank you very much. We also have some people shadowing and committee services, and we've also got one representative from the residents, and that's Mrs. Vaughan.
Present, thank you. Good morning.
Thank you very much, and as I say, thank you to all. And we've also got officers in the supporting us in the background. Thank you now all for confirming your attendance. We'll now move on to the agenda. We do have some apologies. Mr. and Mrs. Owen, I believe, and I think Mrs. Vaughan is going to.
Yes, thank you, Chair.
Speak.
Yeah, just to clarify, Mrs. Vaughan has provided me with a letter, which I've shown to the applicant as well, just to confirm that Mr. and Mrs. Owen would like their daughter to represent them this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. And we've also had other residents, Mr. and Mrs. Burrows, who have offered their apologies as well.
Offered their apologies. They're currently on holiday.
Thank you. There's no other apologies. Just to remind councillors and officers of the personal responsibility to declare any personal and or prejudicial interest in respect of any item of business on this agenda in accordance with the Local Government Act 2000, the Council's Constitution and the Code of Conduct for both councillors and officers. Please indicate if there are any such declarations. There's no such declarations, so I'll now hand over to Todd.
Thank you, Chair. Before members consider the matter before them, I'll firstly run through the procedure that we followed for the meeting. The procedure that we followed for today is that firstly the licensing manager will present his report to the subcommittee. All parties will then have the opportunity to ask questions of the licensing manager regarding the information in the report. The responsible authorities will then each be asked to address the subcommittee in support of their representations. All parties will then have the opportunity to ask questions of each responsible authority. The residents will be asked to address the subcommittee in support of their representations. All parties will then have the opportunity to ask questions of the residents. The applicant or agent will then be asked to address the subcommittee in support of their representation application. All parties will then have the opportunity to ask questions of the applicant agent. All parties will then have the opportunity to sum up. Please note that this should be a summary of the information that you have already presented to the committee. It's not an opportunity to introduce any new information or evidence at that time. Please can I ask that if you do not clearly hear a question or response, that you ask the person speaking if they can repeat what they have said. If you lose connection, if you're attending remotely, we'll pause proceedings, so please make every effort to reconnect in the meantime. If you have any difficulty reconnecting, please contact committee services on 01 443 873 575. Once all parties have summed up, the Chair will then ask all parties to leave the meeting room or use the hang up button on Teams, and the decision of the subcommittee will be circulated by the licensing department within 5 working days of the meeting. That's the procedure for this morning's meeting. If anyone has any questions on that, if they can just make it known now. Pass back to you, Chair.
Thank you very much for that, Todd. I'm now going to hand over to Lee Morgan from Licensing to take us through the report.
Thank you, Chair. Can I first of all welcome all parties to today's meeting? Members, the application for your consideration and determination this morning is an application under the Licensing Act 2003 to vary the premises licence for an existing licence at Rumney Garage, Victoria Road, Rumney, NP 22 5NU. The applicant being the existing licence holder, namely Atlas UK Group Limited, and obviously representatives of that company are present today. Members, the paragraph 1.3 of the officer report details the nature of the variation. If I can break this down into, there's three aspects for you to consider. The first of all is the extension to the licensable area following the expansion of the shop floor area. This is important as the plan forms part of the license, and obviously this aspect needs to be addressed. Secondly, there is the application seeks to increase the permitted hours for the sale of alcohol, which would then mean that the site would be licensed for alcohol 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And finally, the applicant seeks then to permit the licensable activity of late night refreshment, which, as you know, is the sale of hot food and drink between the hours of 2300 up until 0500, 7 days a week. To assist members, the new premises plan is detailed at Appendix 1. Then the location plan is detailed at Appendix 2, and then some photographs of the garage and the area, then at Appendix 3 of the report. Members, you will see the applicant's description of the variation on page 2 of your report bundle, and also detailed at paragraph 1.31, the current permitted licensable activities and permitted hours. And this currently is the sale of alcohol between the hours of 07:30 through till 2300 hours, and no other licensable activities. The conditions which the premises license currently has, they are reproduced in the report at 1.32, and then paragraph 1.33 details the steps volunteered by the applicant as part of the operating schedule in this variation application. Members, paragraph 1.34 of the report, this introduces a table, and you'll find that then at Appendix 4 on page 23. This shows the licence off sales premises in the vicinity and their permitted hours. The document also details the one licensed late night refreshment venue in the vicinity, and then there are some other takeaway outlets which do not have a licence for late night refreshment. Members, this application, like all of this type, are subject to a 28-day consultation period, during which time representations in the form of objections have been received from Environmental Health Pollution, the Licensing Authority, and 3 local residents. Representations seeking conditions then have also been submitted by Gwent Police and Trading Standards. You will hear from each of the responsible authorities this morning after the applicant has made their application to you. But I just wish to clarify the position in relation to the Gwent Police representations. Members, I've circulated an email this morning, and Chair, if I can just ask you to confirm receipt of that for the minutes.
Yes, we've all received that, Lee.
Okay. This clarifies the position of Gwent Police, and I'm sure PC Jones will come in at his point when he gives representation. In the report, it's currently reflected that the agreed position was that there would be a night hatch and 2 members of staff. However, that is not correct, and the correct position is that the agreement that was reached with the police and the applicant was that there would be at the night hatch plus 1 member of staff that would be present, just to offer clarification as to that point. And if I've got that wrong, I'm sure the applicant or his representative will come back to me later to clarify. So, members, that's that one point on the Gwent Police position. Page 5 of the report provides a breakdown of the comments which have been received, and then these are summarised between pages 5 and 7. then the representations that have been received in full are contained between pages 49 through till 62. Members, you'll note the extracts of the Council's own Statement of Licensing Policy and extracts from the Section 182 Home Office Guidance is contained then at Appendices 5 and 6, and you'll find those between pages 25 through till 47. At paragraph 1.8, you were reminded of the 4 licensing objectives and the matters to which you will have regard during this morning's meeting. So this is the Licensing Act 2003, the Home Office Section 182 Guidance, the Council's Statement of Licensing Policy, and then all the representations which are contained in the report, and then the evidence that will be presented to you at today's meeting. There are some officer observations contained at paragraph 1.9, and you'll find those between pages 8 to 11. And with all reports of this type, then a recommendation set out, that's an officer recommendation set out at paragraph 110. This is based on the information received to date. You will see that the officer recommendation at this time is to refuse the additional hours for the sale of alcohol and to refuse late night refreshment. However, as the premises plan forms part of the licence, members are asked to approve this element of the application. Members, should you determine to approve this application, then members, you are asked to consider the information contained then within the Appendix 14 of the report bundle on page 63. Chair, what I would perhaps do at this point is just hand back to you so I can take any questions in relation to the report. If there are none, or if I would think that it's for the applicant perhaps to advise you further, I will relay that information to you. But Chair, I'll hand back to you and perhaps we can take the meeting forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Lee. Are there any questions for Lee at this stage? Yeah, certainly.
Thank you. Just one question. Just want to confirm the previous license, the old one, has been transferred to a new management. So do you have the date of transfer application on that?
I can get it.
Right.
Is there a point you wish to raise about?
Yeah, no, it's just one because there are some reports, they have some previous records, but in terms of our concerns, we took from the 1st of March. So I just wanted to confirm that with you as well.
Okay, Chair, what I'll do is I can check the dates of the when this license holder took effect. I can do that whilst there's no need to pause the meeting. No. I'll do that in the background, and but I think it's you wish for the members to be aware that your applicant has only been in place since you said the 1st of March this year.
That's right.
Okay, well that information has been given by you now. I'll check the dates that we hold.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Any further questions for Lee? Just one clarification for me, if you don't mind, Lee. A note in the report, it says that no pre-application advice was sought by the license holder with regards to this variation. I note the policy is and it's strongly recommended that there's proper engagement all the way throughout. It's not mandatory, but it's a strong recommendation. Is that something that is quite a commonplace that most people would engage prior to the application?
It's something that obviously our licensing policy advocates. It does assist the parties, I believe, because you may address some of the issues ahead of the application or be made aware of any sensitive issues about the location that's subject to the application. Obviously, we can't force any party to engage. That's a matter for them. But obviously, our policy does encourage that.
Thank you very much for that, Lee. And just one other thing regarding the revised plan. I'm not sure that is appropriate for you or maybe to the police. The suggestion of a night hatch, I think that applies obviously to the sale of alcohol. Would that apply to the sale of hot food or something like that? Because I know the premises is open 24 hours a day. Is that impacted by the change?
My understanding is that all sales will be made through the serving hatch from 2300 up until 0500 in the morning. So that is the position as I understand it. And again, the applicant, I'm sure, will correct me if that's not the case.
That was my reading of it, and we'll find that out as the meeting goes on. Thank you very much. Is there any further questions to the licensing manager on the report? Okay, well, if there's not, I'll now move on to PC Adrian Jones from the Gwent Police. Adrian.
Sorry, Chair, it will be for the applicant now to make their application to you, I think, at this stage.
Well,
I think it's that's the position now, isn't it? It's the...
Well, our normal running over... Sorry, John.
Yeah, the way it was introduced at the beginning, the applicant will go at the end so they can address all points raised by the responsible authorities in one go, rather than present their application, matters be raised by responsible authorities, and they think, I wish I would have said something on that, and then asked to speak again.
Okay, noted, thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Todd. Thank you, Lee. PC Jones.
Well, Chair, thank you. The comments made by Gwent Police are on pages 41 to 43 of the information pack and represent no objection from Gwent Police. And Gwent Police are satisfied that the conditions that have been proposed and agreed by the applicant.
Thank you very much for that, PC Jones. Any questions to PC Jones? Todd?
PC Jones, it's Todd Rawson, the solicitor here. Historically, there's been at least, I think, one application for Rumney garages where the police didn't support a few years ago. What's changed over the course of those years?
Thank you. The previous objections to the granting of the licence have been as a result of the premises being in a problem-orientated policing plan area or POP plan, where there is a significant increase in antisocial behaviour and or crime. They are no longer part of that problem-orientated policing plan, and the conditions that have been accepted should negate any need for them to be in that same area again.
Thank you.
Councillor Heron.
Hi, PC Jones. Nice to chat to you. Can you let me know, during the duration, obviously, from the new licensee took over from March the 1st, has there been any police call-outs?
What I've done, I've gone back over a full sort of year. So from May last year until May this year. I can quite quickly, if you give me a couple of minutes, just narrow it down to that area if you want it.
Yeah, that's fine. Take your time, Adrian.
Chair, whilst PC Jones it does that for you, I can perhaps answer one of the points raised by the applicant earlier, if that would assist.
Yes, certainly.
Looking at the records, we've had an application to transfer the premises licence, which was received on the 12th of March, I think it was, 2026. We have then issued the new licence to Atlas UK Groups Limited then, following that application to transfer the licence. Does that tally with your dates? Okay, thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Lee.
Yes, Chair. I've done a quick check on the system. Since the new license holders have been in position at the premises,
Yeah.
out of 19 calls to the immediate area, 5 of which are to the garage specifically, and they are mainly reporting low-level antisocial behaviour, and there is one then which relates to a member of the public going in there at around about 10 to 2 in the morning and become aggressive and abusive because he's been refused the sale of alcohol. And that incident has been reported to the police and is being dealt with.
Thank you very much for that, PC Jones.
Thank you, PC Jones.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just to clarify, those 19 calls and the 5 to the garages since March.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, PC Jones. Any questions to PC Jones or further questions to PC Jones? And just to confirm, I know it's been pointed out that the night hatch is for all sales after the 2300 hours. Is that the case, PC Jones?
Yeah, that's correct, Chair. My colleague, who I'm representing today, completed the representations, and which have been accepted by the applicant. And just to go through them, there'll be no entry to the premises after 2300. The door will remain locked until 0500 hours. All sales from 2300 will be through a serving hatch, including late night refreshments until 5 a.m. There shall be no consumption of alcoholic beverages purchased from the premises in open containers outside the front of the premises. Should customers be outside the premises causing congestion, loitering and/or antisocial behaviour, they will be told to move away from the vicinity of the store by the premise supervisor, manager, or other competent person. And then the last condition then is a notice displayed at all customer exits, asking customers to please leave quietly and respect the neighbours.
Thank you for that. And just to clarify at the moment then, I don't know if this is a question for you, PC Jones or our licensing team, as it stands, the shop I understand is open for 24 hours a day for non-licensable sales, so that if we were to refuse this application, then people could still enter the premises to carry on purchasing whatever they purchase in, albeit not alcohol related. Is that right?
Yes, effectively, there's no license pertaining to obviously there are licensing arrangements for fuel, but nothing which would prohibit entry to the premises. And my understanding is that there's no planning restriction which would allow that. There's no restriction then to that with access can be denied after a certain hour. So yeah, effectively for non-licensable goods, so for confectionery, for anything else, you could potentially, the store could trade.
And taking what PC Jones said now, that he says that the night hatch would be for all sales after 2300, that includes all sales, so that there would be no entry to the premises after 2300 as it is now?
The applicant or the license holder would be in breach of the condition. If that condition was attached, then obviously there would be a breach of license for allowing that to take place.
Okay, thank you very much for that. That clarifies that. I don't know if you've got any questions to the police officer at this time. Okay, thank you very much, PC Jones. Well, I now move on.
Sure.
I now move on to environmental health and Victoria Woodland.
Thank you, Chair. The Environmental Health Pollution Control team have made representations to this application to vary. Obviously, we do not have an objection to the extension of the licensable area, but we do have an objection to the extension of the supply of alcohol 24 hours and the supply of late night refreshment between 2300 and 5 a.m. Our primary concern is obviously the prevention of public nuisance licensing objective, and that the premises is a garage, obviously, with a forecourt area and like a supermarket or Londis type setup there, and it's in close proximity to residential properties. We've had representations from members of the public as well here today, and having licensable activities after 2300 hours is something that is very impactful for areas where we have residents. People are trying to sleep, which is not your ordinary aspect with regards to the use of the property. Background levels will reduce after 2300 hours, and much nuisance and disorder is associated with the public consumption of alcohol. With regards to the garage, with a member of staff, I understand that the applicant has offered service through a hatch. However, how do they control members of the public, customers in the forecourt area? How do they move them away? And that is our consideration, is that how do they then move those individuals, the alcohol-fueled individuals, antisocial behaviour, how do they address that and move them away from the premises? And this will have a significant impact because we're talking 2300 hours. I think PC Taylor mentioned incidences that have occurred since March already with regards to antisocial behaviour. The members of the public have referenced youth gathering and antisocial behaviour that they have witnessed, and this has also been further substantiated by one of our district officers when he has attended the site also. So there are a history of issues associated with this premises. I appreciate the applicant has only just taken over the premises since March, but I think also the information provided by PC Taylor has substantiated that there has been ongoing issues here. I believe that, I'm not sure that the colleague will obviously clarify this with regards to the responsible authorities and compliance, but I believe there has been a history as well of non-compliance and lack of management controls and presence of the DPS. I don't know those dates, those can be clarified later on. Each case is judged on its own merits, as we know. And with regards to the supply of alcohol in premises where they normally have groceries and things 24 hours, it can be assumed in accordance with Section 182 of the guidance that they could carry on the licensable activities. However, our policy, the licensing policy here at Caerphilly, says that we need to address the issues with regards to each premises and judge it on its own merits. The issues that we have here is that it's located within a residential area. We've had no engagement from the applicant at any stage. They've not engaged with environmental health at any point, either prior to or during the application process, which is very important to ensure that the licensing objective, particularly the prevention of nuisance, is addressed. There's an evidence of antisocial behaviour in that area, which I've already touched on, so I won't cover that again. And obviously that is in contravention of paragraph 5.7, where we've already got an established history of antisocial behaviour in that particular area. The applicant has only been in position since the 1st of March. We've had no real information from the applicant to demonstrate how they will control patrons, customers, however you want to call it. And we know that alcohol-fueled individuals does bring about public nuisance, and that's why it's a licensed process, a licensable activity. It's a bit different to buying a pack of crisps and a can of Coke, when you've got alcohol being sold. And obviously that other instance at 2 a.m. where a person got quite aggressive and there was a lack of management there. I understand at the service of the hatch that wouldn't be a legal requirement. I would advocate that other legislation does exist to protect staff through the Health and Safety at Work Act, and it might be something that they would want to do in the future to protect their own staff and customers to serve through the hatch through the night, which is something obviously it's not part of the licensing requirements, but it would be in other legislation to do so. So, to conclude, obviously, we do not support this application in its current format. We have several concerns with regards to lack of management controls, the proximity to residential properties, and the fact that there's a history of antisocial behaviour, youth gathering and the like, which has been substantiated by residents, by District EHO, and through the information provided by the police this morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Victoria. Any questions for environmental health? Just one thing to clarify, if you don't mind, Victoria. I know that your colleague suggested that you just touched on antisocial behaviour related to the sale of alcohol. The report seems to suggest it's attributable to this shop. Is this prior to March or
I'm
since
sorry,
March?
Chair, I don't have that information
Okay.
in front of me, other than obviously that which has been substantiated by PC Taylor this morning.
Yeah, but there's been no reports of.
I am not the district officer for that
No,
area.
okay.
Unfortunately, I cover Caerphilly rather than Remy.
Right.
That officer is actually unwell at the moment, so he couldn't attend today. So I wouldn't be privy to that sort of information, I'm afraid. However, that premises has been established,
Yeah.
has an established history of youth gathering.
Yeah, and on a more general point then, about noise nuisance,
Yes.
particularly in those quiet hours, if people were coming up specifically to buy alcohol, with doors slamming, cars coming all hours of late at night, that is a greater propensity for noise nuisance than.
Most definitely. With regards to when alcohol is in the mix, everything becomes louder, doesn't it? People are shouting, they're singing, they're having a great time, which is lovely, but not when it's in a residential area and things do become accentuated with regards to alcohol fueled. There will be doors obviously closing when people are buying fuel and going and getting their packet of crisps or a can of Coke, but experience and history shows that.
On that point, although people can come and buy petrol or the crisps at any time during the night, during those hours, I note compared to all the other licensed premises in the area, the terminal hour for those premises is the same as it is now, 11 o'clock, 2300 hours. So if anyone wanted any alcohol after that time, then if this application is granted as it is, then the only place that they would get it is you.
I think I didn't actually mention it, but I had it written down, sorry, but we do not want to set a precedence with regards to the supply of alcohol in that area. I don't believe, I'm sure licensing manager could clarify, but I don't believe there's other premises that supply alcohol as off license, off sales in that area beyond 2300 hours. Give them a competitive edge to supply alcohol all through the night in a residential area, which just doesn't fit.
Yes, thank you very much for clarifying that, Victoria. Thank you. You wanted to ask a question of environmental health?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. You have mentioned some words. I want clarification of those. You said there's a history of antisocial behavior. Can you quantify that, please?
So PC Taylor gave information just now as regards to the details of incidents that have occurred since the 1st of March. An officer, district officer, has observed youths in that area congregating outside the premises, and members of the public have also made representations. With regards to our records for antisocial behaviour, I don't hold that information, but there has been incidents which has been witnessed by the district officer and obviously substantiated by the residents also.
So I just wanted to clarify that. You have no evidence yourself as an environmental health pollution officer.
So the district officer has witnessed it himself, so that's been substantiated with regards
you have no
to
evidence,
youths.
but you are relying on the police information what they given and the residents. Is that right?
I think I've just said that it's been substantiated
Okay.
by an officer.
The other questions you have, okay. So regarding what you witnessed about the youth gathering, can you clarify that a bit more? What do you mean by that? Who is, youth gathering? When are they gathering there? What did you notice? What did they do? Where are they gathering?
So I don't know what you're trying to
No,
get
I
at
think
here. We're looking at the prevention of public nuisance, and we're looking at trying to prevent this from occurring. There has been some incidents. It's not that it doesn't happen. It's been witnessed by an officer. With regards to details, what we don't usually get is where it's this in that area. That's it might be recorded to the street as opposed to actually in the garage itself. But there has been police reports as well to that actual garage. But our issue here is the prevention of public nuisance, the prevention of youth gathering, the prevention of people causing antisocial behaviour associated with the supply of alcohol. At the moment, alcohol isn't supplied after 11 o'clock, is it?
All right. You also mentioned lack of management control.
Yeah.
Can you kind of clarify that? What do you mean by that?
So there was some representations that have been made to document the fact that the DPS has not been present at the premises previous, and that there was nothing that's been offered at all at any point during the application process other than 2 members of staff. There's been no other policies or procedures or anything that gives me any confidence with regards to management controls at the premises.
It was prior to March, right?
When you made this application, you had an opportunity to engage with environmental health and to demonstrate that you had management controls in place. We haven't had that. We haven't had no engagement from you. We've had no demonstration of management controls. And so I don't have any confidence because I've got no information.
All right. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you very much. Thank you for that, Victoria. Just to clarify, it's PC Jones that has been given the information today, not
I'm so
not
sorry.
PC Taylor. Just for the record, that's all.
Sorry.
I didn't mean to say that, but just in case PC Jones was a bit confused, right? So there's no further questions to Victoria, and I'll hand over to the Licensing Authority and Mrs. Sandra Lewis-Williams. So.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, everybody. Thank you. My representations are contained in Appendix 9, which is from pages 49 and 50 of the report bundle. In summary, my representations recommend refusal of the application to extend to include alcohol, 24 hours, and late night refreshment between 2300 hours and 5 a.m. in the morning. In making my representations, I've had notice of the representations made by the local residents and also the representations of my colleagues, but also of breaches of the licensing observed by the local by the licensing team. I will clarify that on one of those occasions that it wasn't the current license holder, but it was on the second occasion, which was undertaken in May as they came in March. But also, I just wanted to clarify that while the transfer of license happened in March, the DPS is the same DPS as on both occasions. And on both occasions, that DPS wasn't present on site. So the CCTV issue, which was identified in January, was still present in May this year with regard to the time wasn't correct on the actual recording. So would be in breach of the licensing condition for that. So that would be for the current license holder, not the previous one. So to this end, I have made a recommendation that the application to extend the alcohol hours to 24 hours and the addition of late night refreshment be refused, as the licensing authority does not have confidence in the license holder to uphold the licensing objectives. However, I don't object to the extension of the licensed area to include the adjoining unit. And for clarification, members, if you are minded to grant the application today, the licensing authority have supported the original representations put forward by Gwent Police. And these are the original representations and not the amended ones. Although I was included in an email regarding the amendment of those conditions, at that point in time, they hadn't been agreed by the applicant. So when I made my representations, it was based on the original conditions put forward by Gwent Police. Unless you have any questions, I'll hand back to you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much for that, Sandra. Any questions? Yeah, certainly.
Have you had any complaints from public on these premises?
I'm not aware of any complaints.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Todd?
Thank you. In relation to the 2 visits you talk about where there's the alleged breaches of license, did the applicant or the prior premises license holder or the DPS have notice of those visits?
I believe they were second on the second occasion. They were advised, Gwent Police were there at the same time, and they were advised by Gwent Police. But that may have gone to the original license holder, Sterling Petroleum, not the current one, that it was given to the DPS, and DPS presumed carried on January. So they should have had that on the
And would that give a date, time, or a window of time?
The visit took place on the 7th of May 2026.
Sorry, Sandra, you have to put your microphone on. If you can just repeat that.
The visit took place on the 7th of May. And I believe it was Gwent Police who did follow up for that. A colleague of mine, Ben Thomas, was present with the police at that time when they saw that the issue in January, and then David Rees was the one present in May, who was here today.
Any further questions to Sandra? If I may, Sandra. According to the report, there's been 5 visits, 3 times. And is it 5 visits or was it 3?
It was
3.
It was 3, and then there were 2
And-
occasions.
And at each of those times, the DPS has never been present.
From our records, the DPS hasn't been present on those visits, no.
And the other issue of concern, I suppose, is the issue surrounding the CCTV. Repeatedly, the CCTV is showing the wrong time. No signage to the CCTV. And more to the point, that the assistant couldn't operate it. Is that right?
I believe on the first occasion, there wasn't anybody present who could operate. I believe on the second, you can maybe to clarify that with David as he's sitting at the front, whether it was the same member of staff that was seen in January as seen in May, but they weren't the DPS. Maybe you can clarify with David whether they were actually able to show you the CCTV on that visit.
Okay, thank you, David.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I attended the venue on the 7th of the 5th. I went there at 12:15 p.m. I spoke to Diva Raj, who was who's serving there. Conducted a compliance visit, and I noticed he could operate the system, but it was still an hour out. I had him to check a number of dates for me previous, so he did have knowledge of how to use the system, but the system was out by 1 hour. There was some other issues at the on a visit. If you want me to,
please do.
On a visit, the old previous license, the incorrect license, was on display, so that was mentioned to Diva Raj. Also checked the training records there. there was no training records there, but the refusal log, I was a little concerned because the last entry on the refusal log went back to 2022, which was a refusal for cigarettes. So there's been no refusal of any type at that premise since 2022. I spoke to Dia Raj. He was going to relay the information to the applicant, because initially I went there for two reasons. One was to check the blue notice in relation to the application, which also was incorrect, and the compliance visit. So those two issues I asked him to relay to the applicant.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. Todd?
Yeah, Mrs. Lewis-Williams, just a follow-up, just to make sure that I think the point you're making is held in the correct weight by the panel and in fairness to the applicant. Is it your understanding that the DPS needs to be at the premises at all times?
No, the DPS does not need to be at the premise at all times, but we would expect it. If we went over a number of occasions, we would encounter the DPS. But no, they don't have to be there at all the time. But they should have had, anybody serving there should have had training or been authorised by that DPS to sell alcohol.
And was there any evidence that that had not taken place in terms of the training to sell alcohol with under the umbrella of the DPS?
Maybe you can check with David what it had in the training log for that.
You said there was no training records.
That's correct, Chair. Attended it. No, sorry. Records available. There were records available, and they were inspected. I haven't got details of the last entry on those, but they were available.
Sorry, just to be a bit pedantic, but I'm just conscious of the transfer date. Was this post-March, your inspection? You may have said it, I might have missed that detail.
Yeah, my inspection was the 7th of May.
So those records were between March and May rather than historic records?
The records I've viewed they've come from the previous as well. So I think they've inherited them.
Yeah.
I might have to check back with you, PC Jones, if you don't mind, because I think you said, David, that the refusal log hadn't been updated since 2022, I think was the last date.
Yeah, that's correct, Chair.
Adrian, I don't know if you can still hear me. When you responded to the question about the call-outs, I think you said there was 5 to the garage, and one was at 1:50 a.m. regards to aggressive behaviour because they had been refused the sale of alcohol. Is that before 7th of May?
Yeah, the date of that incident, Chair, was the 12th of the 6th this year.
12th of the 6th.
Yeah, at 2:05. It was reported to us at 2:05 in the morning, but the actual incident took place at approximately 01:50 hours.
Okay. So, thank you very much for that. Well, that obviously comes after, after that date, but not that long ago, where there was an issue around alcohol and the late night sale of alcohol. I think that's a fair way to interpret it. And reference to the CCTV, is that a significant concern for us, that not only is the time out, there's no displaying of the signage of it, or is that something that it shouldn't happen, but is that is it a significant?
It is significant in that the purpose of CCTV obviously is in the prevention and the protection of crime and disorder. If there are any incidents reported in the premise, we would expect to go there to be able to view those. And if the time isn't accurate on the recordings, it is very difficult to be able to look back and to be able to clarify the times of any actions, especially when their license is only till 2300.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be able to verify the time of when actually any sales of alcohol have been taken place if their CCTV is not recording correctly.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Sandra. Any further questions for the licensing authority?
Actually, other than the CCTV time, everything else was okay in terms of the CCTV working and.
Sorry, David, did you want to come back?
Yeah, on a visit, there were a number of issues which I logged on my report. One was the incorrect license, which I've mentioned, and my concern of like the last entry of refusal logs. I noted that, and it was just then the CCTV was out by an hour.
Yeah, okay.
They were the main concerns.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Anything further at this stage, or if not, I'll now move on to Rhian Cross from Trading Standards.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, everybody. You will find Trading Standards representations in Appendix 10 on page 51 of the bundle. You will see from the representations made that Trading Standards have specific concerns in relation to the protection of children from harm licensing objective. And therefore, we would advocate the addition of certain conditions, should the bench be minded, which will allow the applicant to demonstrate their commitment to underage sales prevention. While the applicant has not been directly linked to complaints or intelligence of alcohol underage sales, Trading Standards have been extensively involved in community and retailer engagement in the area over the past 2 years due to increased antisocial behaviour. Our concerns arise from the following. Trading Standards received a complaint in October 2025 regarding underage access to fuel. As a result, officers visited and carried out a routine inspection. Advice was given at the time in relation to underage sales prevention. The visit unfortunately could not be completed due to missing paperwork and poor communication due to a language barrier with the staff member. Business advice form was left. Chair, I'm become aware today that the applicants have only taken over since March, but I think what I have to say in my representations is still of importance, so I will continue. In October 2025, the premises were also visited following a service request in relation to petrol on the forecourt of the premises. The officer attended, inspected and discussed with the business the antisocial behaviour of youths who were trying to tip residual fuel onto the forecourt at night time. In July 2024, Trading Standards received 2 separate complaints, one in relation to underage sales of fuel and one in relation to unsuitable filling containers being used. One complaint mentions the sale of fuel to youths for off-road bikes. At the time of the complaint, the misuse of off-road bikes was a prolific problem in the area. An officer visited and left a business advice form. In May 2024, an officer visited for the purposes of carrying out an inspection in relation to health and safety matters. The officer was unable to complete the inspection fully due to poor communication and language barrier with staff. A letter was sent to the business owner. The area at the time was subject to a police initiative called Respect for Rumney during 2024-2025 to tackle a variety of issues of concern, including the misuse of off-road bikes, fly tipping, illegal dog breeding and youth antisocial behaviour, just to name a few. The Respect for Rumney initiative involved retailer advice visits and underage test purchasing and community engagement. It's important to note that a community alcohol partnership was also launched in the area in October 2024. In December 24, Trading Standards received a request from Community Safety to conduct underage test purchasing in the area following a weekend of heightened alcohol-fuelled antisocial behaviour, which was reported by the Community Safety Wardens at the time. The wardens were informed by the youths that they were using fake ID and proxy sales, which is where an adult purchases on behalf of the youth. to obtain alcohol. No shops were named as the source of the alcohol. Trading Standards is committed to underage sales prevention, and it is our opinion that a 24-hour licence may provide further opportunity for underage access to alcohol in an area where there is already a known problem of antisocial behaviour. Chair, it's important to note that I acknowledge that the applicants have only been responsible for the premises since March this year, and therefore the compliance history that I've mentioned is not directly applicable. However, what it does reflect is a picture of the type of antisocial behaviour experienced in the area. This is an area of high deprivation and consistent intervention by the local authority and partner agencies. PC Jones has already commented this morning that antisocial behaviour is still ongoing, albeit at low level. I would also like to reflect on the fact that the refusals log that David has mentioned inspecting in June hasn't been completed since the inception of the new licence holders, the last entry being 2022. So one would either there hasn't been any attempts of underage sales, which is difficult to understand given the levels of antisocial behaviour in the area, or that it's not being used. I would also like to just point out that prevention is always better than remedy, Chair. So we would advocate the inclusion of the conditions that I've listed in the my representations there, which primarily relates to the training of staff in relation to underage sales, and the continuing and the maintaining of the refusals log. And that conducts my representations, Chair.
Thank you very much. Any questions to Trading Standards?
Thank you, Chair. Just one question. Just to say, have you had any complaints or from anyone about underage sales happening from the premises?
Since March this year, Trading Standards have not received any complaints relating to underage sales at the premises.
All right, thank you.
And just to reinforce the point, I know you referenced some of the historical issues prior to the transfer of the licence, but the DPS is the same DPS in those instances as that currently remains. That's right, isn't it?
That's correct, Chair, and it's a role of the DPS. We would expect to have that day-to-day authority in relation to the alcohol sales.
And we all know that the DPS doesn't have to be there 24 hours a day, but that would be something that the DPS would look at, the refusal log and things like that, to make sure that everything is...
It would be best business practice, Chair, yes.
On the underage, or the potential for underage sales, again, going back to 2024 with those test purchases, it says no shops were named. We're not suggesting that the underage sales, if they were, has come from this garage then or now, though, are we?
That is correct, Chair. There's no allegations or no assumptions that the underage sales are directly attributable to the shop. My point was more to make that the area is of high deprivation, and you can see from the consistent attempts of underage access to fuel that underage sales is a problem in the area across the board.
Although trying to ride a motorbike might not be the same as drink quite a lot, but I take the point. Thank you very much for that, Rian. Sure.
Thank you for that. And also, just wanted to know, I know we are looking at, in a way, the negative way of looking at this business, but I just wanted to know what kind of support do you provide as a trading standard to businesses like, petrol stations? And have you provided anything to this business?
I'm not aware that it was under new management, Chair. So as far as my records inform me, the business hasn't had their routine inspection. So businesses like this will be risk assessed and visited according to that risk rating. So it would either be an annual basis, 3 years or 5 years. During that visit, on a routine visit, a trading standards officer would carry out multiple functions, but one of which would be underage sales prevention advice, and signposting to materials that one would expect to have displayed in the shop.
Thank you.
Before I move on, Rian, can I go back to something that I think you said or touched on, certainly in the report, and I do this in a very gentle and sensitive way, that the number of times that you've been there, there's been a difficulty communicating with certain requirements and what's the legislation, and it says that leaflets were left, and that was about it. As I say, trying to do this in a very sensitive way, but is that a concern about the ability then to promote the licensing objectives
with the
effectively?
previous owners, Chair, that it does appear to have been an issue. There are certain leaflets that we would offer in a variety of languages, not all, unfortunately, but if we identified a language barrier, we would work with the business owners to come to some sort of compromise. But I think it's important to note that those issues were with the previous owner.
Okay, thank you very much for that. That clears that up. So if there's no further questions to Rian from Trading Standards, I'll now move on to one of the residents, and Mrs. Vaughan, I know you're going to speak for yourself and your parents, and you've also got another information to share with us, I understand.
I do, yes. Okay. Thank you for that, Jay. I just wanted to say about the pollution from the garage. So we've got light pollution, which a lot of the residents have put in blackout blinds, blackout curtains. Myself in number 2 has had triple glazed windows to try and dampen out some of the noise from the garage as well. The noise is cars parking in the garage overnight, revving their engines, loud music, doors slamming, that kind of thing. I know one of my neighbours has moved to the back bedroom to try and get a decent night's sleep. There's also litter, so there is a bin in the garage for the customers to use, but more often than not they loiter around the front of our properties, and there's a back sort of lane up to the park, so they use that area to consume alcohol, snacks and things like that, and they leave the rubbish then for the residents to collect in the morning. This has been a regular thing and is still ongoing. Even this weekend we was collecting rubbish from the floor outside of our properties. Antisocial behaviour, then we have all had cameras fitted on our properties because we are directly opposite the garage. We've had an increase in antisocial behaviour, violent behaviour, underage drinking, and a lot of the time you can't say anything to these people and ask them to move on yourself because you get a lot of abuse back, which is not very nice. Especially when we have children in the house, we have elderly residents, all of which is, we want to just live in peace in our homes really, and it's really difficult at the moment. It is a rural location, we are a deprived area, and there are ongoing issues. The lighting from the garage as well is a major thing for us. So we have a small black bat population at the back of our homes. So any additional lighting already from the forecourt, which is quite brightly lit, is going to affect this. And I'd like to just keep you informed of that. I wanted to ask about the the police reports, because often we've been told to, if it's an emergency, to call the police, but if not, because of the regularity of the complaints we were making, we were asked to call 101 instead. I've also messaged the police on Messenger, so I was wondering if these are still reported or like logged as a report as well, because we don't normally have crime numbers for when we report it via other methods.
Adrian, I wonder if you might be able to help Mrs. Vaughan with that inquiry.
Mrs. Vaughan, they should be everything, whether you phone it in or text it in or email it in. Any point of contact with a member of the public should generate a log at least.
Okay, thank you. And I'd just like to keep you informed as well that we can't report every time something goes on, because this is sometimes a daily occurrence, and I just haven't got enough time, or it's in the middle of the night. Sometimes it's quicker to just take a photo. I have taken some photos on my phone. I've got video evidence as well of one of the employees maintaining the forecourt at 12:30 at night. So he's scraping some of the concrete and filling in holes on the forecourt, which has woken myself up. Yeah, sorry.
Is that recent?
That's recent. That was the 31st of May at 12:22 a.m. And I can provide that at another meeting if possible.
Thank you, Mrs. Vaughan.
Can I just say about my parents who live in number 1?
Yeah.
So they are elderly. They've got a driveway. It is quite often that teenagers purchase alcohol from the shop, and snacks, and eat them outside and leave the rubbish then for them to clear up. Their driveway have also been obstructed by people parking in front of the driveway using the shop. And they have also been woken up by the employees cleaning out metal industrial bins at 3 a.m. in the morning. Sorry. So just my father in particular wanted to raise that there has been lots of police presence. Although we don't always call the police, we have been asked to provide CCTV footage from any criminal activity going on in the garage. Recently, there was a robbery attempted by Knife Point, which was reported, and we were asked to provide some CCTV for that.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, can I just ask, was that the robbery by Knife Point? Where was this?
That was in the garage opposite the property.
Okay, thank you.
This Gary.
Mm-hmm.
And is that was also recent, or?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure whether
It might have been under the previous.
Yeah, maybe.
license.
Can I just state though, a lot of the employees are the same who work there now, although the management has changed over. The employees are the same.
So the employees are the same and the DPS is the same. So much of the operation is the same. That's what I'm trying to say. Thank you very much, Mrs. Vaughan. If you've got anything further to add, please feel free.
Yeah, can I just say about my neighbours who were away on holiday? They did send me a message. I'll just read that out. So Carol and Simon have wrote, they can't sleep in their front room because of the noise from the people and the cars used in the garage. So the garage will be the only place locally where you could purchase alcohol after 12 o'clock, and it will be sold there. The cars will use our lay-by then and parking at the front of our property to consume the alcohol. There's also a car park opposite, which is a hotspot for antisocial behaviour and litter. Youths often hang out along the wall at the front of our properties, and this licence will extend and exaggerate the levels of noise by shouting, singing and behaviour throughout the night. They both have serious health conditions and suppressed immune systems because of medication they are currently on, and lack of sleep and stress is proven to significantly cause be a contributing factor to their physical and mental health, and they feel it would detriment their personal lives within Victoria Road, and they wouldn't be able to tolerate further stress at the moment. There are also children living in properties and elderly residents. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Vaughan. Councillor Evan, you wanted to...
I just want to go back to PC Jones. PC Jones, do you have a date for this robbery, please?
No, it happened at 7:20 hours on the 19th of April, where an unknown male has entered the shop, gone to purchase alcohol, been refused, and at that point he has brandished a scissors and gone behind the till area, taken the quantity of money from the till before leaving. The gentleman was subsequently arrested a short time later, and I think he's currently in prison at the moment.
Okay, thank you, PC Jones.
And that isn't quite a long time ago then, that is very recent and also under the same management. Did you want to come in, Mike? President?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, this is a question really as a result of some of the statements Mrs. Vaughan made to us, and it's something for PC Jones to take notice of, that you've witnessed, or your parents have witnessed, or other residents have witnessed, that alcohol has been bought at the garage, and then the cars are not going a long way away, and alcohol is being consumed by whoever's in the cars. Almost certainly, the drivers of those cars would also be taking advantage of the fact that alcohol was present. So I would hope, I suppose I could say, some covert operations by the police might well then see quite a bit of activity available for us to take further action, or for the police to take further action regarding the consumption of alcohol in vehicles. I don't know if you can go to comment on that, PC Jones.
Yeah, most certainly. Unfortunately, the Road Traffic Act is quite specific around drink driving, the vehicle and the driver. The driver's got to be in charge of the vehicle, i.e. in driving, the wheels have got to be turning. It's got to be in charge of steering and propulsion of the vehicle for it to comply with the Road Traffic Act and any subsequent drink drive offences. But yeah, it's duly noted. We can request that the area be monitored by road traffic specialists, but obviously it's catching them in the act, it is, isn't it?
Well, it would be, yes, but it's a question then of if they're driving even short distances and there's any observance of that, could that then allow you to take the appropriate action, having witnessed the propulsion and steering of a vehicle?
By a police officer, yes. Obviously, if a member of the public reports it, we can request a sample of breath by the said driver, but this what quite regularly happens is by the time they get stopped, drivers are switched positions in the vehicles.
Yes,
but,
I
yeah,
understand.
it can be acted on.
That's okay. I just want to make the point that there's other activities going on that are criminal, not just the pursuing of purchasing alcohol outside the right times anyway. Thanks, PC Jones.
Mrs. Vaughan, if I may, I know there's been a reference to drinking and loitering and congregating by a number of yous nearby. Some may be linked to the garage and the propensity to the garage to those areas, but it's not necessarily always coming from this garage? Is it that people might be buying from somewhere and going to that particular area to drink or to congregate or loiter or whatever? Is that fair?
Yeah, I would say that's quite fair to say, but it is a bit of a hot spot really. So for teens, it's under the canopy of the library in the winter. So when it rains, they all go. You can see them going back and forth to the shop to buy things, and then they'll consume them under the roof of the library.
And that's an issue all hours of the day because the shop is open.
It is, yeah.
24 hours a day. So it might not be necessarily alcohol related then, though it might be other things that they buy and then just hang around in a late hour.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting. PC Jones, I think that our attention has been drawn to two alcohol related issues with this garage. And very recently, I think one you say was a refusal at 10 to 2 in the morning, which is obviously quite a late hour. And also this robbery or attempted robbery with the scissors. Again, alcohol related. Is that something that I'm sure you would have bore that in mind when considering your representations for this application, PC Jones? But is that something of a concern, whether it's a pattern or whether this is that hotspot that is concerned? I'll come back to you now in a minute.
Chair, I think I have a really question.
On
the question you are asking now.
You can do that. If I see what PC Jones says, and then you can take it up with him.
No, I think it's important, Chair. When you bring a new evidence today, and you keep on asking questions, because we are looking at what we got on the paper, and there are some new evidence coming in. I think it's need to be coming in before.
I understand
we cannot
that.
Just,
I know. In all the interest of fairness, I totally understand that.
Yeah.
I'm sure your applicant would have been aware of those incidences, given the fact that he was the license holder at the time of both those incidences, and this is information.
We will respond to that. Chair,
and this is just information that we've been given, factual information from the police. So I don't see any negative
like a new evidence.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to find out the police's view, knowing that they're in receipt of those pieces of information. If that makes any sense, PC Jones.
It does, thank you, Chair. I obviously didn't deal with this application. My colleague PC Taylor did.
Yeah.
However, you can look at it. You can look at it from two different sort of aspects, I suppose, in a way. You can't really hold the premises license holder responsible for being victims of a crime.
No.
Whether they, if I think the only thing to say which crosses the both calls in a way is that the premises was open. If the premises wasn't open, the two calls wouldn't have happened because the person couldn't have gone in there.
Yeah.
So it's from my personal point of view, and that being a police officer as well, are the license holders not promoting license objectives by being victim of a crime? I'd like to say no. But on the flip side of that, what's led to these calls is the fact that the premises is open.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that, PC Jones, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Any Todd?
Mrs. Vaughan, have you lived in your address for a while?
Yeah, so I've lived in my current address for about 15 years. And before that, I lived next door with my parents. So they've been in the property about 60 years. So it's a long time.
And was the garage 24 hours for the entire time you've been there? Is it that's something that's come in over the last 15 years or so?
Yeah, so it's only since the new owners took over. It was a petrol station before, but we didn't see any of the activity that they've got there now. And they didn't sell alcohol before, which they do now.
So when it was, as you said, just a petrol station before, was that 24 hours or was that closed
No,
overnight?
it was, I think it was just like 9 till 5, and there was a cafe there, so it was a bit, yeah, daytime.
And when do you say roughly it went to 24 hours?
Oh, I'm not sure. It must have been since the new owners, about between 8 and 10 years.
And if things sort of, what you experience that you've described today, has that been largely consistent over 8 to 10 years? Has it got worse? Has it got better? Has it fluctuated?
Yeah, so we between the hours of 9 and 1, really, we see a bit of increased activity, a lot of noise from cars. After 12 o'clock, then we have trouble with the car park, which is opposite the garage as well. So there's like boy racer types in there. They do wheel spinning. We hear a lot of revving engines, and then they tend to park in the garage, buy what they need to buy, and then go and consume it in the car park. And then we can either leave in the car park or going in the garage. So there's a lot of back and forth there, really.
I'm not confused. The car park you're talking about where they consume it, is that still on the forecourt of the garage? Is that
No,
across
it's
the
away
road?
from the
Yeah,
forecourt.
across the way, yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Todd. Any further questions for Mrs. Vaughan?
No, thank you, Chair. That's
Okay.
fine. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much again, Mrs. Vaughan. We'll now move on to the eventually to the applicant, and I take it you're going to speak for the
All
applicant.
right. Perfect. Thank you, Chair.
Welcome.
Chair, I think just wanted to give a little bit of background for these premises, right? So obviously we are not looking at the planning. I just want to make it clear. We are looking at a licensing application, not the planning applications. And so right now, this particular premise has been operating, as far as I know, more than 30-40 years as a petrol station, and it's been operating 24 hours. Chair, I think really when you look at this particular premises, it's been a massive support, although we are looking at here a lot of kind of issues. But what we are looking at here, this particular premises opening 24 hours, there were customers, who've been coming to buy kind of medicines. There were emergency vehicle overnight, including ambulances, all the other emergency vehicle coming to a petrol, and this particular premises is situated in a main road. Even at night, there are many cars going up and down. And then A road is not far away. So when people looking at an emergency petrol, they put it on the apps, they will be directed. And there are no other premises nearly, if you look at it, really the location of it. Even when, somebody put a petrol station, they don't put it in, the place they put also. They consider that in terms of the planning permissions. But right now, it got a planning permissions to do open 24 hours. And right now, this particular premises with a new ownership, Chair, I think it should be welcoming. And even in your, when you look at your pack on page number 32, right, on section 1.18, if you read that, Chair, and it will says, excuse me one second, section 1.18 says, when making licensing decision, all licensing authorities should consider need to promote the growth and deliver economic benefits. Actually this is provide because the investment coming in. If you look at this area, what's the area called? Romani. How do you pronounce that? Romani. He knows that area. He's a very experienced retailer. He's one of the manager there, and he's a deputy TPS, and he manages the premises. And since they have taken over, they have taken many steps, which is not listed here, right? So to promote in terms of promoting the licensing objective as well. So the Raimi area hasn't been developed, hasn't been invested, as you know, compared to other areas. And, the lifestyle, the world is changing now with 24 hours. And there are, we are not looking at the need here in terms of the licensing, but we have to look at the economic benefits it brings, because the whole operation of economics operate, petrol is one of the important things, oils is one of the things, and people need emergency thing also part of the economic benefit it's going to bring. So that's the big thing is going to happen here. Now, coming back, what I wanted to start, Chair, I think I wanted to start with the residents' objections. So, at least the residence is not too close to them. Is there on the site? There are quite a lot of distance between it. Okay, and they haven't made any complaint to any of the authorities. But right now, there are issues they mentioned. We don't agree with that, right? Things like permitted antisocial behavior. So how do we permit an antisocial behavior? Now, let us know. I think they know the experience of the youth. Now, when we feel, we have no control of the car park. The car park itself and the library itself have CCTV. There is no evidence provided to the police to investigate anything. But when 3 or 4 youth just coming around and then staying in the car park, how do we call that an antisocial behavior? They don't drink alcohol, right? I think it is wrong to represent those youth, buying alcohol and drinking there. So if they were to hang there, we have to define what is antisocial behavior is. Some people just sitting, together, just talking, we can't call them as an antisocial behavior. If they make any trouble, if they're breaking the car or like doing some damage or like breaking the library or whatever, so we have to call that antisocial behavior. Some youth people, yes, 3 people together and sitting and talking, we cannot call that as an antisocial behavior. In any case, the car park is not part of the licensing, under the license control. Chair, I think what I wanted to come back, you got to look at the residents, how much weight you're going to provide to the residents' objections here. Because, they might have a fear, maybe, right? But looking at their objections there, 3 objections, there are a number of residences there, not just 3, at least close by at least more than 10, 15. But now looking at their objections, so all they saying is about increased noise. We will come back to the noise. There is no street, this area, people, there is no, in his experience, there is no drive-off. People are well behaved, the residents are really good, not much problem. And you cannot run a business in UK or anywhere in the world without any crimes taking place. Like we looked at one crime, robbery happens. It's not a good thing to happen for any businesses, right? So many businesses are suffering from this antisocial behavior, and you see the person got arrested, somebody got a criminal activity and he's in prison, which is great. Now the thing is, there are things like litter. I think we don't agree with litter. You can see on the picture, you don't see any litter, and there's no evidence put forward by the residents, any pictures to prove there's a litter provided, caused by these premises. While they have a bins, while they are maintaining a bins, and while they are keeping the area clean, I think it's not nice to, blame them on the litter side of it. I think I want to come back to the noise, Chair, but I think reasonably how we're going to manage that. I think they mentioned about the light pollution as well. They never mentions, and lights. Obviously, there is no opposite. The residents are not opposite. They are on the side. Excuse me. So, what we are saying, Chair, I think these residents' objections are not really being evidenced or quantified, really, And street ringing has been mentioned. Nobody kind of seen any kind of evidence street ringing is there. And loitering as well. So they keep talking about increased violence. There are people not on the violence. Occasionally, one or two things happen. Anywhere it can happen, right? So they keep talking about constant noise. We don't understand what is this constant noise is about. Petrol station, people come when anybody coming into the petrol station to put a petrol. So what they do, they switch off the engine, right? And then when they switch off the engine and they put a petrol and they start the car and they go. But nowadays we have living in a new world. There are new cars, they don't make much noise. And really, the cars doors are really not like old days cars, olden age, but we are talking about the new styles of cars, So we don't really agree with a constant noise. I mean, it doesn't make sense also. It's not about agreeing to it, whether it makes sense. It is happening. So there are things they mention. President, we are not writing off everything because we have listened to that, and we're gonna do something to manage it. We're gonna something to prevent it. But in the future, obviously, they make complaints. The authorities can take action. But right now, there were no complaints made to the authorities, and you heard that, Chair. Now, Chair, I think what I wanted to come back is, you see, start from the trading standard. So, trading standard, you heard, they are concerned about protection of children from harm, and they have no objection to the license. So they are, we agree some conditions, though they have no objections to the license, and they clearly said that, right? So
sorry, just to clarify, I don't think that's right, Ian, is it?
No, Chair, that is correct. We're not objecting to the request. Our advocation is more for the inclusion of specific conditions that would demonstrate the applicant's commitment to protecting children from harm.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Sorry for interrupting you.
No,
just to clarify.
Perfect. Anytime, Chair. I think it's important to clarify them. And then also coming back to the licensing authority as well. The licensing authority has no objections, and they said, as long as we agree to the, if the license should be granted. Chair, I think the wording is very important. You cannot, Chair. I think if you really read the letter, it clearly says, if the committee decided to grant the license, they should grant it with the police conditions. You can have both.
No, I think that the licensing authority made an objection to the application, but if we as a panel decided to grant, then there would be certain conditions that they would want to see implemented. I think that's the position, Sandra, isn't it?
That is correct, Chair.
So
Chair,
I wouldn't
no,
put it that they're in support of the application. I think that would be too strongly claimed.
Chair, I think either you object or you don't object. Right now, what they are saying, right, they don't object the license, but on the other hand, if to be granted, if there's no the conditions, we agree with the police ones.
Without interrupting.
Okay, great.
Just to be clear, this decision rests with us.
Of course, we agree.
The request, the opinion of the licensing authority is that they are very much opposed to the granting of this license. So they're opposed to it. However, if we as a panel decide to grant, their view is, please impose these conditions. That doesn't mean to say that they are supportive of the application. You don't need me to explain Sandra's position.
All right.
But I think we can all agree that the licensing authority are opposed to the granting of this application, and so is the environmental health. So
I'll come back to the environmental health,
but that's the position as it is. You can carry on.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, you could interpret it like, okay, I mean, obviously, if we accept the police conditions has been put forward, that alleviate their concerns. But
no. It doesn't mean to say if you accept the police conditions, it alleviates concerns. Their concerns still stands. It is if we as a panel decide to grant, then they would want the police conditions Todd, you wanted to come in?
Yeah, I think at least in this committee, in this borough, I think what responsible authorities don't want is there to be a lacuna of objection when the committee, or if the committee do decide to grant, then come to decide if any additional conditions should be added or varied. They don't want the committee to say, well, no one really objected to or made a point of adding any further conditions, so we'll just grant unconditionally. They want to express their opinion both ways, and I think that's prudent for the committee, who, if they are going to grant an application and then they turn their mind to what conditions will promote the 4 licensing objectives, I think, at least my experience, is that the committee benefits from having a responsible authority's view on the conditions that may have been bandied around during the consultation period. I wouldn't think that that's a highly unusual approach across the UK here. I think that seems to accord with common sense. If you're going to grant, then my view would be you impose X, Y, Z. That I think you can hold both positions without that undermining your initial objection, if I can be as bold to say that. That's just my view from the legal perspective.
Thank you.
Carry on.
Chair, thank you. All right, perfect. So we have covered licensing authority and the police. Yeah, I wanted to come back to the environmental health objection, Chair. But my feeling is that it is a little bit unfair from the environmental health without having a proper evidence. Because, Chair, I think any decision is got to be like an evidence-based evidences. But here they mention about the car park and all the other things is happening, and their personal opinion. They likely, I think the word they are using is likely happens and personal knowledge. And while they visited, they seen some young people there in the car park, thinking that, putting that here. But I wanted to point out, Chair, I think the policy, I think I'm just looking at the page number 47 on the environmental health objections. So they saying, they are really putting this objection because they seen the residents' objections, and we comment about the residents' objection, Chair. So if they say if the customers arrive by car, residents will likely to expose to door slamming. And rowdy customers, really, in this place, we cannot call the customers rowdy. That's right. It's not really nice to call customers rowdy customers. And Chair, music. Who is playing music nowadays in a car? Everybody have, Bluetooth, all these things to listen to music, right? And then music from car, potentially, the word potentially ASP. So, Chair, I think, looking at, we have majority of customers who is gonna benefit coming to the petrol station, putting a petrol and doing their shopping. And while, who is gonna cause antisocial behavior at night? The area, as far as I've been talking to him, keep asking questions about the area. I think his question is keep asking, the area is good, not really troublemakers in that area. I think the police evidence and everything else shows that as well, Chair. And then policy number 11.6. Look, the management will be unlikely to control use of the public pathways, road, and, the thing is, there are not much objections and evidences is provided, but we are not going into public pathways and things like that. And they are also making an opinion in terms of the police. But 11.8, I'm looking at, they said they have, we have not made a contact with them, Chair. I think the guidance says and recommend that, on the other hand, the applicant can contact an independent consultant like us also to handle these matters. So now, Chair, I think we think the environmental health or pollution control is just based on their own opinion, like personal opinion, rather than really evidence-based. Chair, I think just wanted to come back. I think the important point we are looking at here, I see now the police is the one in terms of antisocial behavior. So the police have no objection. As you know, Chair, the main source of crime and disorder will be the police are the prime source for issues concerning and prevention of crime and disorder. And also you need weight and evidence about, how the premises would not promote the licensing or would be promoting the licensing objectives. Chair, I think we have agreed going forward, what we are looking at this particular premises, there was one issue with the CCTV, Chair. I think it was any premises have kind of a technical issues. The time change is happening on 31st of March. I think the system apparently to automatic, I think something like that happened in the system error that's been fixed, Chair. But on the other hand, the CCTV was recording and, have a clear image they can provide, and there's no issue with that. And then in terms of management as well, it's totally a new management, Chair, but anybody can't get confused. We come from the same, same people working there, like some countries or same look people. They might think it's the same management. It's a new management under new management. I think they are investing, and it is very challenging for any businesses to come in and operate. The premises is spending time now to renovate, refit, and reorganize. And in terms of public safety, increased public nuisance as well, they are operating under so much other rules as well. In terms of running a petrol station, there are so many safety issues they have to consider, as part of the petrols, the main suppliers concerns, authorization people concern. But now coming back, Chair, I think the noise is the one I wanted to come back to that, Chair. So we have to really look at, when you look at the policies as well, Chair, I think the noise concern on page number 33 to 25 and to 27, like that. Chair, I think this particular premises is not we just wanted to restate that it is not a bar, it's not a nightclub, it's, causing loud music to cause health concerns for people, right? So it's basically the planning permissions is given, so the cars are coming and putting a petrol and do their shopping, essential shopping, whenever they want it, right? Some people wanted to do some shopping at night, so it's being a convenient. And the question we are now, the store is opening 24 hours and they can't buy all the product. So now the question is whether allowing them to buy a bottle of wine if they wanted to buy while they do other shopping, would that gonna cause any issues? Now, in terms of prevention of crime and disorder, we have a number of conditions we have already on the license, and also the Hajj service as well. But I wanted to come back again for the noise. So what noise we are looking at here? So that's the important point. So one thing, it could be the cars, right? So cars coming in and they switch off the engine, they put a petrol and they do their shopping and they are going, So now, whether we sell alcohol or not, that's going to happen, and it's been happening. There's no complaints it's been made, evidence-based as well. And what other noise we are talking about? Okay, so maybe if they do any cleaning up at night or moving the bin at night, that cause nuisance. Okay, so we're gonna provide some conditions around that to manage it, because the licensing guidance is actually allow that to minimize. I think the guidance also, how we're gonna manage it, how we're gonna manage the noise nuisance. Chair, I think if you look at on page number 63, so any of those concerns can be addressed through the conditions here. So the condition number 1 on that, Chair, on page number 63, so we agreed with the police because 1 member of staff instead of 2. Chair, initially the store was opening previously 24 hours, but right now when we open 24 hours, we always have 2 staff. But now that at night, during the night, we're not going to open, it's during the Hajj service. So it's fair and proportionate to have one person. So that's police agreed with that as well. So no entry to the premises as well. And condition number 2, 3, and then also we have condition number 4. So they can't open containers. I mean, nothing is being evidence. People are drinking there, but still we're going to have the conditions to manage that as well. If the customers loitering and doing an antisocial behavior in the vicinity, they will manage that. They will have a competent person, will be trained person, will have that. We'll have a notice displayed as well in terms of public nuisance to customers, leave the premises quietly. And condition number 7 also, the staff responsibility there as well. And there are conditions about the CCTV, and delivery of stock will not be made to the premises between 22 hours and 7. I think we are happy to, So 8, that can be 2000, 8 o'clock in the evening to 7 o'clock in the morning. We are happy with that once. So staff proactively manage the premises as well, Chair. I think we want to offer another condition number 12. Let me read the conditions there. So there's no bin collection and cleaning gonna happen between 6 p.m. to 8 to 6, 8 to 7. Oh, the same time is okay, isn't it? So we could, I think, condition number 10. We could add condition number 12. So any like a waste cleaning, and I think the wording, I'm sure the legal officer can help you with that. Any waste bins, clearance, or any kind of cleaning, any other repairing activities wouldn't take place between 800 to 700 in the morning. Yeah, so we could have the same hours. So I think there was one of the residents saying that they were cleaning the bins and they were making noise. So we will address that through that, Chair. And okay, what else we have? Hold on, just want to make sure we covered everything. Yeah, Chair, I think that's all we want to say. Thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Before I invite questions, I am aware that some of the issues touched on are indeed planning matters and not our responsibility as a licensing authority. We might have some sympathy given the close proximity and the light pollution and so on, but that is not a matter for us, and you can rest assured that's not going to be taken into consideration when we deliberate this variation. Questions to the applicant?
Thank you very much.
Councillor Heron.
Thank you. I'd like to ask a couple of questions, if I may. Obviously, you've previously run a 24-hour service there. So I'd like to know, obviously the shop's been quite successful. So why do you need a license, the license for alcohol sales when your shop is already successful? To extend for nighttime, because your shop is successful.
Thank you for that questions. Also, it is like being a convenient store. Somebody working during the daytime, say somebody finishing at work at midnight, right? And then on the way home, and they want to do some shopping. And then when they do come shopping, if they want to buy a bottle of vodka, whatever it is, bottle of wine or vodka, whatever. And we want to make that available to the customers to shopping, And the question of whether it's going to cause, I think we have no evidence that people haven't been drinking outside the premises, and this is prominent. There's a CCTV covering outside. Anytime the police can come and look at the CCTV, and the car park and the library in the front, as far as we know, they have CCTV as well covering. Anything could be evidence, but we have no evidence to say.
So can I ask you then, what evidence have you gathered to show why you need to have that license overnight?
It's rather than it's an evidence, it's being, there are many other 24-hour licenses people can order online. It will just come up on the door as well if they really wanted it. But the question of making it convenient for people who is visiting the premises to do the shoppings, it is about being a convenience store. And not only alcohol, I mean, we are looking at the alcohol, we provide so many other services now as well, parcel services as well they are providing now. And everything else is there, right?
Okay.
People need.
So can we move on to then, we've talked about antisocial behaviour this morning. Can you tell me what measures are going to be put in place to tackle antisocial behaviour or potential antisocial behaviour, but also gathering of customers outside, and how will you deal with intoxicated individuals? Because these are really important subjects, I feel myself personally, because obviously you would have done training, you would have been trained, you would have understood the legislations and all the acts that require you to be trained and understand how you're going to deal with these areas.
Yeah, thank you. I think, so firstly, anyone intoxicated, anyone drunk, legally, the staff are trained to identify them. Legally they can't, by law they can't sell it. And if they do it, if any report going, it can be evidence to the police. They have CCTV to evidence that. But right now we can, because it could be one of the concerns the police had. So if intoxicated coming into the shop, and then when we refuse at midnight, they might cause trouble inside the shop, doing something. But now that they are coming outside, we refuse and they go home, really, But it hasn't been happening, but I know it is about preventions. So we will refuse it, and we'll have a refusal record book to manage that. We will train the staff as well how to manage those people as well. If there's a need for it, we will call the police. And the business is supporting the police as well in terms of paying their rates and all kind of things, right? So there are occasional crime will happen outside their control where they will get the support from the police.
Can I ask them, what training have you received?
Can you press the microphone, please?
USA.
You'll have to press
okay.
yours off, and now you press yours on. There we are.
Maybe you can elaborate your experience and the licensing objectives and things like that.
So we have refresh training every month, and also we have been given individually how do you identify any problems, and how do you conflict begins, how you avoid them, and in conflict management. And also big support from him. He's running our training business, so he's supporting to our staff. So which is we are inviting him to also. That's the reason one of the reason he's here. So he's supporting us. So that's the best part we are taking to the step to the company. And also we have in place of all the posters, Challenge 25. Also identify anyone to the notice. So warn the people who are underage, obviously. And staff are wearing the badges. And also in the till indicate the patches of 25, Challenge 25, till prompt. And also we don't encourage in the front to buy alcohol. So it's always in the designated places. That's really
interesting, because I've got a little bit of I just need to remember now that the training logs wasn't completed.
You have to know. Sorry, once you want.
That's it. Yeah. It appeared the training logs were inherited from the previous applicant. They're old and they haven't been completed. Like the refusal log, really. The last entry in refusal log was, it was 20th of the 4th, 2022.
Can I come back to you on that? So you understand how important training logs are, and
brilliant.
That should be recorded. It's ultimately really essential, because that's what sets up you as a good business.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for the question. That's I think that's something that I missed also to respond to that. Thank you for asking that questions. Well, in terms of the staff training, so at the moment they have online system where people go and do the things, do the questions, and they all record it online. And refusal book also all electronically recorded. So if really the officers ask for the records, they can show them on the system, on the computer system they have. I think that every tills now, all time till is different, but every till is a computer. They record things. So they stop. I think what I recommended now to maintain a manual as well as the online system. The online system, they are every week he check the system as well. How many refusal is done, and really looking at the online system on a regular basis. And they print out reports. So when they print out a report online on a monthly, weekly basis, it print out everything, including the sales, the refusals, and everything get reported and is filed away as well. And is also inspected by the area managers when they come as well, because in terms of the petrol station, the way they operate, they have a management within the thing as well. But at the same time, they also have area managers who come in time to time do some inspections.
Okay. Can I just come back to as well then, the license displayed was not correct?
I think that's the old license, because they were just...
But has it been rectified now?
That's been rectified, because only now they received the new license, so that's been displayed now.
Okay. That's all for me for now. Thank you.
Just to follow up on what you said, Mr. Kampathi. You said that your premises offers a wide range of goods to purchase, and that you cater for late night shopping, that people can go and buy various items, and if they want to put a bottle of wine in, they can do that and carry on. But is that really practical through a night hatch? Because as it stands now, your shop is open, that people can come past and they can go in and they can buy whatever they want. But by a night hatch, that isn't quite as straightforward.
I remember I was working in a petrol station all the time. The night hatch is like a small box. But nowadays the night hatches are like a drawer, But I'm on about the actual process of choosing items and of course. I think the customers will come and order it, and then they will bring it in. So the night hatch is quite a big one. They can pull it in, pull it out. Once they make the payment, they take the goods and they
because
go.
I'm conscious of what you said in your application, where you say that allowing alcohol sales to match the opening hours will provide a more consistent service and better meet customer needs. That seems to be the focus is alcohol driven rather than other items, because they can get the other items, as you know, up till 11 o'clock. But it seems to better meet the customer needs is specifically related to alcohol. So our concern, or our deliberations will focus on people predominantly coming in a late hour for alcohol. I'm just wondering, I know you've had that issue, someone was turned away from buying alcohol at 10 to 2 in the morning, but is that a common thing that customers are looking to purchase alcohol at that late hour?
Well, I mean, Chair, I think I can see that one incident you can't take.
I'm not suggesting. But I'm just saying to better meet your customer needs.
I mean, I want.
You want them to be able to purchase alcohol at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I want to elaborate that. Thank you, Chair. I think it's a fair question to ask, really. And then, if you look at the premises, is being expanded and invested. Not to sell alcohol only. It is about opening is part of the Londis, is a reputable supermarket group. I think their prices are, they are like below kind of a Marks and Spencer kind of prices as well, the quality wise. And they offer a variety of product. And even in the plan, you can see we have like a frozen food, The sales counter is there. The alcohol is going to be a small part of the premises, Chair. I think the premises is expanded to become like a supermarket. So it's offering alcohol is really a part of the product.
With respect, though,
Yeah.
however big that premises is expanded to by the frozen area and so on, people won't be able to go in to it in these hours, will they?
Of course, they wouldn't. They wouldn't. But on the other hand, they could make a list of things they want to buy and give it to the person. They will collect it and give it to them.
Right. But, so, I'm just trying to think of this in real life example, whether at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm not saying people don't do their shopping at 3 o'clock in the morning, but it's directly linked, as I say, to your comment that it's the alcohol sale that you are seeing as the driver here for the late night.
We didn't say that really, but I think it looks like that maybe. But at night, when people buying, just say, I'm just say example, if 5 customer coming within an hour, they may not be buying alcohol at all. They might only buy other things. But maybe another hour, another 5 customers coming could be one of them buying an alcohol, right?
But
the question.
Sorry to interrupt. But that situation exists now, doesn't it? That people can come in 24 hours a day and buy crisps.
Yeah, now it's
whatever they can, but they just can't buy alcohol between 2300 hours and 8 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock in the morning. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, but when there's a good, reputable customer, do a little bit of shopping, and then they say, can I buy alcohol? We say, no, we can't do it. But the question we are now, why we can't do it? That's why we are here looking at that.
And as it stands, do you have a lot of customers coming in to do their shopping in the store in those early hours, at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock? Browsing around the aisle and choosing,
No,
like
I
Marks
think
and Spencer.
I was talking to him about kind of customers coming during the nights. Mostly people pass by. They could be traveling by long distances. They quickly check on the map. Latest petrol station they want to. But also, this is one of the petrol station they provide. Is the toilet is outside now? Yeah, customer toilets outside, right? They don't need to come in. Yeah, they provide a public toilets facilities as well. But none of the petrol station, not many of them provide that, but we do provide like a 24-hour toilet service for customers. So it's kind of a service,
So what you're looking for then, as people come past, is passing trade then, is it? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah, we have passing rates, as well as some local, but mostly overnight, nighttime workers and people passers by, right? Mostly people coming by car, taxi drivers and things like that, yeah.
And I know you said that a lot of it is modern cars now, that they don't make the noise of some of the older cars. I'm not sure that everyone's gone onto the electric initiative yet, but it isn't just the noise of the engine, is it? It's the constant getting out of the car and getting into the car and that sort of thing. It isn't just the noise of the car. Would you agree?
Well, the thing is, the question we are looking at whether it can be manageable, but what we are saying, the noise can be managed, right? So that's one of the reasons we have some kind of conditions we agreed in terms of 63. So we're going to manage that.
Apart from the conditions that you read out, you also said that you would do something to manage it or do something to prevent it. They are the conditions that you were talking about. There's nothing else that you would do.
Anything else, Chair, I think if you think we will happy to consider that.
It's just that you said do something, and I thought whether that was it, those conditions. Regardless of where you think the complaints have come from regarding the residents, I mean, there's been reference to the area being hub for people to congregate late at night. There's street drinking, alcohol litter, and so on. Knowing that, why didn't you engage with the responsible authorities to try to find the best outcome for yourself in consultation with the responsible authorities?
Thank you, Chair. I think we also surprised to see a number of comments the residents has made, but you can see no complaints is made in terms of people congregating and causing any antisocial behavior, and nothing is evidence-based. All these responsible authorities sitting here, they actually been doing something, because once we put the application, mainly you can look at that, they visited the premises after we put the applications, not like previously just going in. There's no reason for them to going in because there were no complaints. But trading standard itself said, they risk assess every premises, and then if there's any concern, they will go in and then do advices. So in terms of their risk assessment as well, this premises hasn't come into, under their radar, we call it. But those youth people, youngsters hanging around, they are not, as far as we understand, they are not causing any antisocial behavior. And if they do, I think we feel like that they have their own rights to, if they want to kind of sit in the car park of the library, which is not part of us, we have no control of it. But, if they want to just sit down and talk as well, I think we shouldn't really discourage them. And if they come in a scooter or something, play around as part of their social activities, really.
You say there's been no complaints. I think PC Jones said there's been 19 calls to the immediate area and 5 directly linked to the garage itself. I think Mrs. Vaughan said that they've called the police and logged it several times, and I take the point that it gets to at what point you keep on phoning. It might be advantaged, it draws a full picture, but there has been some complaints, and it has been focused on the garage.
Chair, I think firstly I wanted to point out that any new evidences should be submitted before the committee hearing. Then we have the opportunity to look at those 5. What are they? Whether they are linked.
With respect, that is something.
With all respect,
PC
we
Jones,
wanted to respond to that.
PC Jones explained to us
the question is, the data is not being provided for us to kind of comment on that. In any case, Chair, you cannot run any premises in UK without any kind of insurance. But the question is, 19 is 5 only related to, so which is not really high. Okay, and the other thing is, we need to look at each and every 5 incident. What are they, right? Whether it could be like, what is it? That's the thing. We have no data to comment on it.
I totally agree with that.
Except the one, sir. I think robbery happens.
I totally agree with that, and our concern is how these licensing objectives are best promoted, and it's to that end. Then, when you look at all the other premises around the vicinity of this garage, as I said earlier, they all shut or stop selling alcohol, I should say, at 11 p.m. I think the one or two shut at 10, but for the most part, they all shut at 11. If this license is granted and you are the only establishment selling alcohol at that time, then the question is about as you said, you want to try to best meet people's requirement to buy alcohol or need to buy alcohol. You will be the only ones that can do that, won't you? In the early hours of the morning.
Yeah. Chair, I think, as you know, every application need to look at its own merits.
We do that, and I understand that.
Let me explore that on that. So all the other premises are convenience store, and most of them, we've been looking at the map, most of them sitting like middle of the houses, and we are looking at a petrol station. They are already open 24 hours. Okay, and this is a petrol. It is, like I want to just repeat, this particular premises is opening 24 hours. A investment coming in, the person coming to invest to renovate that place and really improve the service. And now it's gonna, I'm not repeating what we said, but the thing is, this own merits, whether it is promoting the licensing objectives, whether we are addressing the concerns or raised by the residents or the authorities. So you can see from the objections, nearly all of the responsible authorities are satisfied as long as we have agreed to their condition that will promote the licensing objectives. So we are looking at whether this particular premises is promoting the licensing objectives. I think it is promoting the licensing objectives. A number of conditions on there, but in the future, if authorities going in and if there are any complaints, that's another matter to investigate. But right now, we don't see any evidences to that, but also we can't compare with the other premises.
And finally from me, and to pick up what Councillor Heron said, as you've been a successful business and you're operating 24 hours, it seems to me that notwithstanding, it seemed to again put the focus on the sale of alcohol to the point where you want to restrict people coming in to the premises, as they can do now, in order to sell alcohol for 24 hours or certainly through the early hours of the morning. It seems that it's more important to you, and I say this, that you'd rather to be able to sell alcohol than invite people to come in and look around to buy what other produce that they need. That seems to be where they are, because obviously the night hatch would be there, and that would be the only way people would be able to purchase items.
Well, you could say that, but also you've seen that there was an evidence, somebody gone in and made a trouble inside. So the question here, Chair, the premises is a business, need to be supported to sell all the product. But then we got to promote the licensing objectives in terms of, because all the other product we don't need a licensing law, but here we are covered by the licensing law. We got to promote the licensing objectives. We want to have all the product available, and then we are promoting the licensing objective, accepting a condition we're going to serve to the Hajj. But we can't do pre-judgment and assumption to say that we are focusing on alcohol, but we want that customer is also important to us, right? So that's how we look at it.
But my point is that those customers couldn't come in under the conditions now proposed. They would be all buying at the night hatch, and that is a consequence of seeking an alcohol license till the early hours of the morning.
We could look at it other way as well, because we had employed 2 people before, to manage to prevent the crime as well. But right now, we have 1 staff to manage, which is beneficial for us. We looked at both ways,
And finally, if you don't mind, when I asked the licensing authority about how significant CCTV is and how it's regarded as CCTV, I think you said in your remarks that it was only one issue. I think there's been more than one issue, though, not just the timestamp, but the display of CCTV warning people that their images are on CCTV. So there's been several issues around the CCTV.
No, I think as far as we heard, is only one issue. The time was out.
On several occasions, or 2 occasions, I think it was 2 occasions the time was out. Is that right?
No, I think since 1st of March we are looking at, there was a 1 hour out.
Yes. I know the 1st of March is when the transfer of the license was taking place, but I think it's fair to say that the same DPS was in place and some of the same staff are in place. Is that right? So I think it's probably a bit disingenuous to say...
Yes, it's the same staff in place.
Let's just go back to the 1st of March.
Well, they had no issues with the CCTV. Anytime the police were to come and ask for the CCTV record, they will be able to give. But unfortunately, the technical error, there was a 1 hour out, because I know the time change didn't happen automatically. I think they changed it back to...
But that happened a couple of times. You do accept that happened a couple of times, not just the once.
It's once when they checked it, and then it got rectified.
No, I think, sorry,
right.
I think that's not the evidence before us, but
Okay.
yeah, page
Right,
four,
okay.
page 49, I think, if you refer to it.
Yeah, okay, Chair, I think it is, I was just speaking to them about that actually, but it was a technical error. They have to call someone technically to sort it out, but that's been completed now. They
I'm
upgraded.
I'm not trying to split hairs or anything, but given how important all this is, particularly in reference to prevention of crime and disorder and all the rest of it, despite being told about the time error the first time round, it was still in error when it went back in May, I think it was. So it was in page 49, it says in January, and it was still an hour out in May. So that was probably out all the way through January to May at least, then, I think.
Yeah, but January they were not there, but only 1st of March they come in. So it's the first time.
Okay, well...
But any chair, I think,
But
I think we got the point.
No,
I think,
no, but it isn't just...
Absolutely. I think CCTV is the absolute
No, I get
important.
that, but as I say, I accept the license was transferred, but the staff and the DPS still remain the same.
No,
it's not as if the establishment changed. Is that right?
So, Jen? Yeah. But also the management charge changed because some of the time legally they have taken over, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. Rian?
Thank you, Chair. I've got three points of note, one of which I think was already covered by Councillor Heron, so I won't dwell on that too much. But the first point I'd like to cover, please, is the misinformation given by the applicant in respect of the definition of ASB. You said in respect of the using cars congregating, there isn't any alcohol, so how can it even be ASB? So I'd just like to correct that statement, please, because our ASB does not have to include alcohol, the inclusion of alcohol. And if we were to use the definition in the Antisocial Behaviour, Crime and Policing Act, which says that conduct that has caused or, importantly, is likely to cause harassment, alarm or distress to any person, which, if you refer back to my report where I mentioned the Respect for Rumney initiative previously carried out in the area, ASB can take many forms, including off-road bikes, fly tipping, congregation of using cars, depending on the actual conduct and the behaviour. So I'd just like to correct that, Chair, because I do think it's important that antisocial behaviour is understood in the various forms that it can take. The second point, which, forgive me, may have been covered by Councillor Heron, and if it has, I won't dwell on this. You mentioned that the business is offering a much needed service to the community past 11 o'clock, and you specifically mentioned like the sale of medicines and things like that. But what exactly is the relevance of the alcohol here? We're specifically here to address the extension of the permitted alcohol sales and the expansion of the shop floor. So my question is really, what call is there for alcohol after 11 o'clock, and what have you based that assumption on? Have you carried out any market surveillance yourself, or what evidence are you relying on that warrants the extension of the alcohol sale hours, the alcohol permitted hours?
Coming back to the antisocial behavior you mentioned, you mentioned harassment. I think they were not harassing anybody, but you said motorbikes.
No, that's the definition: harassment, alarm, or distress. So
Yeah.
those are the three elements of antisocial behaviour.
Yeah, but none of those is linked to these premises.
But that's the definition of ASB.
Definition of ASB, yes.
Yeah.
So what we said, the youth hanging around not drinking alcohol. You know, we
It
can't.
doesn't have to include alcohol, was my point, Chair.
No,
the
of course,
point
I
is
got that.
I wanted to raise
but-
the definition because there seemed to be an ignorance of the definition in respect of the inclusion of alcohol.
Yeah, thank you very
Alcohol
much.
doesn't need to be included.
As Rhian said, it is all encompassing. It isn't just solely linked to alcohol. No, I'm not sure that was what was being said, but it means that antisocial behaviour can take all forms. It isn't just related to alcohol.
Of course, Chair. But all the other things happening is it can happen without this premises existing. That's what you're saying. The motorbikes riding or whatever.
And
okay, I got it.
Yeah.
So thank you for clarifying the definition of antisocial behavior. I think we've looked at that. The other questions you were asking, whether there is a need.
Yes.
You know, but as its need is not part of the licensing, but in any case, this particular premises want to make all the product available, whether it is doing a parcel services, whether it's doing a selling maybe on any other new medicines item or any other pet food items or anything like that. So similarly, we want to make the alcohol available. But then the question of whether it's going to contribute to any kind of antisocial behavior, crime in the area, but you know, nothing has been evidence. That's what we keep saying. You know, we have to go by the evidence. You know, so right now this particular premises is used by many customers for their benefits, for their convenience, and we want to make the alcohol available as well for them. But those people we are buying, we got to make sure we are not selling to drunk people, we are not selling to people congregating outside, but also the trading standard just mentioned that people are not drinking alcohol, you know, they're causing antisocial behavior. So we have that as well. Thank you.
And a final point, if I may, Chair. The applicant mentioned that since taking over that they've not experienced any antisocial behaviour, and I say this with the greatest and utmost respect, that, you know, on what authority can you make that comment in such a short period of time? I've worked for the authority for almost 20 years, and during those 20 years, my role has included intervention in the area of the Upper Rumney Valley area with regards to underage sales and large reports in the area of underage sales. Now, I accept that the ASB and underage sales allegations may not be directly linked to your premises, but you do have a duty within the community to, you know, to work towards preventing that from happening. So I just wanted to make that point clear, Chair, that the area has suffered over the years with high levels of antisocial behaviour and high intel submissions and complaints in respect of underage sales. Whilst not directly attributable to the shop, it is still important.
Thank you very much for that, Rhian.
Well, I mean, I wanted to point out there, I think it is really unfair comment to say high levels without you producing any kind of data, any kind of evidences, just saying high level of, you know, that's actually really misrepresenting, I would say. But on the other hand, you know, in terms of promoting the protection of children from harms, you know, we accepted your condition and they are satisfied with it. It will promote the licensing objectives. And there is no complaints made in the past. You know, we got to look at the evidence, what we have evidence here at the front, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Any further, Victoria?
Sorry, Chair, but I had two little points that I just want to make. You've sort of said it several times that there were no complaints to the authorities. I think we've already established today that there were complaints to the police authority, and Mrs. Vaughan made it quite clear in her submission that she has made repeated complaints to the police. Now, it may be that they didn't realise that they could complain to environmental health also, or to other persons. So the fact that we haven't got the complaints from environmental health here today, we have got several from the police. I think that was 5 from March, wasn't it, alone? So in the last 3 months, there's been 5 complaints directly related to the garage. Secondly, there's been 2 serious incidents related to the garage itself. One was a robbery, an armed robbery, and the other one was the incident, the aggressive behaviour at 10 to 2 in the morning. What public safety measures have you put in place since those incidents, please?
So I think the police is satisfied with the conditions we have provided, and the police is not objecting to the license. Are you representing the police?
I'm just asking what measures you've put in place, because obviously the licence holder will be aware of those 2 incidents. I'm just wondering what measures you put in place.
Yeah, but again,
to safeguard
I'm
public
really confused
safety.
about the question. Let me tell you, but the question we ask you, whether you had any evidence or you have anyone complain to your department as a environmental.
The information has come to the hearing today of those 2 incidents, which the licence holder would have been clearly aware of. What measures have you put in place? What public safety measures have you put in place in response to those 2 incidents?
So, well, firstly, we have agreed number of conditions with the police in terms of the CCTV as well. And when you say public safety, I'm a bit confused what you mean by this public safety. Can you clarify that?
So public safety is a licensing objective, and you've said that you are meeting all the licensing objectives, and public safety is one of those objectives. And I wondered what measures you would put in place in response
So there are
to
4
the 2
licensing
incidents.
objectives. One is prevention of crime and disorder, which we address. The police is mainly will be handling that. And prevention of public nuisance, we put a number of steps to promote that licensing objective. And the protection of children from harm, Trading Standard have satisfied with the condition they provided, we accept that. And the public safety is the accidents or fire safety, first aid, health and safety. That's what you're talking about. Just want to clarify that, what you mean by that.
Public safety.
You are focusing on the public safety objectives.
I'm just asking because obviously there were safety concerns with regards to being a victim of crime there, and persons coming in and threatening staff and possibly other customers. I just wonder what public safety arrangements you've put in place, such as risk assessments, measures in place to control that from happening again, preventing that happening again.
Well, we talk about. All right. So you're linking to other objectives by the look of it. So, right. I just want to. Okay, good.
It's all related to the license.
Yeah. So we already have staff training. So we talked about we train staff on a conflict management. So any other conflict, how do they communicate? How to really prevent any kind of conflict, and like with any customers, even a drunk person coming in. And secondly, we have CCTV to evidence that as well. We have incident record books, and all the other conditions now we have provided to promote the 4 licensing objectives. But I don't know whether you have any, because at the moment there were no incident like that happened to any of the customers, right? But in any case, so that is where if any serious offences happen, that robbery happened, we cannot take that as an example because that somebody, a criminal thinking person done something, robbery, it's not a good thing to happen. In terms of businesses, we would invite you to support sometime businesses as well, right? And right now, are you not thinking like, oh my God, a robbery happened, whether this business will have to manage that, have to go through that, as a responsible authority, I would be thinking like that as well, right? But then we have all the steps, the person got arrested, and we can't, keep talking about that incident to make, to concern that it's got to be a history of things happens. There's no such history. There's like one incident robbery has happened, which is really unfortunate to deal with. But any case, that's not been put forward as an evidence. It's come up today, so our stand is like, any new evidence should forward before the committee coming in today.
Mr. Kanapathy, can I just ask you, and you're not obliged to answer, it's just a query for my own understanding. Given what Victoria said about some of the incidents that's happened and people coming in late night, has it been a consideration of the owner to put a night hatch there from 11 o'clock onwards, regardless of whether you have the sale of alcohol, rather than wait to get the sale of alcohol licence? you put a night hatch in it. Has it occurred to you to just, in the interest of public safety for the staff and other people, to put a night hatch at such a late hour? Because as you said, as the policeman said, I think there's been 19 incidents in the immediate area of people causing antisocial behaviour just out of query, really. It's not a requirement. You're bound to do it. You're not even bound to answer it. I'm just wondering
Yeah, I think
if that is something that you would consider, regardless of it being conditioned
yeah.
by the police in the event of the alcohol.
We
licence
had,
being granted.
I think the business had an option whether to close the business and serve it to the night hatch. They done very often, many times they done that because some weekdays they don't want to employ 2 staff. If they were to open the shop, they have to employ 2 staff to manage it. But whenever, it's not needed, there are less customers coming, only, then they will have close the door, only serving to the night hatch. They'll put a sign, to night hatch to come in. So it was there available. But right now, in terms of promoting the licensing objectives, so sale of alcohol, we accepted that conditions.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's it for me. Any further questions? Sandra?
I just wanted to clarify one matter regarding the training incident log. When the member of the licensing team went there and they were shown a book that was from 2022, and you say that it's actually an electronic record, wouldn't the member of staff who was on duty that day have known that would have been the refusal and incident log? And because otherwise, how would they be recording things?
Well, we were asking that question as well, because they said, I think sometime the staff said that there was no specific person, but this kind of, you were checking the records as opposed to. Okay. Yeah, so what they were saying, like you came in and you check records whether they are available, rather than see, do you have you were checking the refusal book, whatever they're given. And then there was no questions about where the refusal has been recorded, like that.
Okay, so you're saying that the member of staff didn't understand that they were being asked to show the refusal incident book as in on the condition of the license?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't comment like that. That's not fair to comment like that, I think. Okay. I think if you were to ask more, ways, where the other refusal book, and they would have said that it's electronically recorded.
Okay, so the condition of license, just to clarify, does say that it has to be in a bound record that's made available, and that all staff obviously should be aware of that to be able to record any. It's not just refusals, it's incidents as well, and that should be available to any authorised officer, which includes licensing at the time that they come and do a visit.
It could be just printed immediately, like a manual records, they could just print them. And
so that member of staff wouldn't have been aware if that's how you currently record your incidents and refusals. Is that correct?
They are aware of it, but unfortunately, they didn't go as far as the request to print them and give it to you at the time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Sandra. Anyone else got any further questions to Mr. Kanapathy? I hope I'm saying that right.
No, perfect. Sir.
Probably
yeah,
not. Probably not. Well, if there's no further question, I'll now go to Lee from licensing to sum up the report.
Thank you, Chair. I would bring members' attention then to the licensing assessment at paragraph 1.8. There has been reference to one of the extracts from the section 182 guidance in relation to the licensing authority should consider the need to promote growth and deliver economic benefits. Obviously, that is one of the recommendations contained within the statutory guidance. However, within the Act, the Licensing Act, it contains the 4 licensing objectives, and I would bring obviously members back to consider those. In addition, then, to the statutory guidance, our Council's own licensing policy, and importantly, I think, Chair, all information that you've had presented in the report, and obviously then those comments delivered to you verbally today at today's meeting. So, Chair, that's it for me. I'll invite you now to bring the other members in just to sort of summarise the final position. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Lee. I'll now hand over to PC Adrian Jones to sum up.
Chair, I'm satisfied that the applicant has agreed with the recommendations. I'm happy with the proposed conditions as listed on pages 41 to 43 of the information pack. And I think that's about it then for me.
Thank you very much, Adrian. I now hand over to Victoria Woodland from Environmental Health.
Thank you, Chair. I've listened to the information provided by the applicant today and have no further movement really on our view. We still object to the provision of late night refreshment and the supply of alcohol 24 hours.
Thank you, Victoria. And if I turn to Sandra from the Licensing Authority, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yeah, I bring you back to my representations and my conclusion that I do not support the application to extend the licence in terms of alcohol to 24 hours, and also we've made lots of reference to alcohol in our discussion, but we need to recall that it's for late night refreshment also, this application, and the things that go along with that. So I also do not support the late night refreshment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And over to Rhian from Trading Standards.
Thank you, Chair. Trading Standards' priority here is in respect to protection of children from harm licensing objective. If the committee were to grant the extension to the permitted hours for alcohol sales, then this would provide further opportunity for underage access to alcohol. Trading Standards therefore advocates the inclusion of the specific conditions that we've listed on page 53 of the bundle. However, we also acknowledge that there are other outcomes available to the committee.
Thank you very much. And can I turn to Mrs. Vaughan to sum up, please?
Hi. I speak as a representative of the residents of Victoria Road, and we would like to oppose the extending the licence for alcohol and the use of hot food. I think it would affect light pollution, noise pollution, it increased litter in the area, and even though antisocial behaviour is not always with alcohol, it is a contributing factor that will affect our health and well-being living in close proximity of the garage.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Vaughan. And can I ask Mr. Kanapathy to sum up for...
Yeah, Chair, I think I have nothing further to add. I think today what we are looking at, what the evidence was put in front of us. We here, the licensing authority police are satisfied, and the trading standard also satisfied as long as things happening. Well, we accept those conditions. And in terms of the licensing authority as well, here I'm reading the page number 8, actually, the 9.12. which state, licensing authority actually will depend on police as the source of kind of making their decisions. So you can't have, like, I want to repeat that. I think they stated that. So now they also mentioned that, but they stated, if they were to grant with the conditions agreed by the police, they will be okay with that. Chair, I think this particular premises investing to promote the 4 licensing objectives, and they are sure it's a very good management. He got, like Trading Standard, got 20 years experience, and he got enough experience to managing many premises on a day-to-day level, right? How long you been managing premises? 10 years, right? And actively involved on a day-to-day management, right? And obviously, with their experience, they can manage the premises. And like I said to you, local residents would be happy in the future, right? It's only their concerns, the alcohol part of it, but it can be managed. In the future, if anything that happening, there's a review process is there, as you know, right? But it's all about promoting the 4 licensing objective, and then we have put forward I think with the robust conditions to promote that, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll now hand over to Todd to sum up.
Thank you, Chair. In the moment, the Chair will ask all parties present to leave the chamber, and all those who have joined remotely to hang up, and the subcommittee will retire to discuss the application and the representations that they've heard, and they will come to their decision. I'll be there to offer any legal advice that the subcommittee may wish for in relation to that decision, and the committee clerk will also be present. The decision of the subcommittee will then be circulated by the licensing department within 5 working days of the meeting today. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Todd, and can I thank you all for coming today and making your representations. The webcast will now be stopped, and if you can just remain patiently until it is stopped, and then we can leave. But I thank you all again for coming and your contributions. Thank you very much.